You wake up. Another morning. The light breaks through your window, but inside there's a weight you can't name. Maybe it's the silence. Maybe it's the noise. You reach for your phone, scroll through endless faces, endless words, and somehow you feel more alone than before. The world spins faster every day, and you're running just to stay still. Your mind races with thoughts you didn't invite, worries about tomorrow, regrets about yesterday, and in the quiet moments when everything stops, there's a question that won't leave you alone. Is this all there is? 2,000 years ago, a man sat in a tent on the edge of a battlefield. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was the most powerful man in the world, the emperor of Rome, and yet he wrote in his journal like a man desperate for peace. He wrote not for glory, not for history, but for survival. He wrote to master the only thing he could control in a world of chaos, his own mind. And what he discovered, what he carved into those pages in the dim light of oil lamps, has the power to change everything for you. Not someday, not when things get easier, right now. This isn't another self-help video. This isn't about hustle or hacks or becoming someone you're not. This is about coming home to yourself. It's about finding the eye of the storm when everything around you is spinning out of control. Because the truth Marcus understood, the truth that can set you free is this. You cannot control the world, but you can master your mind. And when you master your mind, you master your life. So let me share with you 8 secrets, 8 ancient keys that Marcus used to navigate empire, war, loss, and the unbearable weight of responsibility. These aren't theories. These are tools. And if you let them, they will transform the way you see everything. But before we begin, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a like if this resonates with you. Comment with one word that describes what you're feeling right now. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because wisdom isn't meant to be hoarded, it's meant to be passed on. Now, let's begin. Let's start with something you already know, but keep forgetting. Your mind is the most dangerous place you'll ever visit. Not the world outside. Not the economy, not your job, not the people who hurt you. Your mind. Because everything you experience, everything you feel, is filtered through the lens of your thoughts. And most of the time, that lens is cracked, distorted, covered in dust from years of conditioning, trauma, and stories you were told about who you should be. Marcus wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Read that again. You have power over your mind, not outside events. This is the first secret, and it's the hardest one to accept because we've been taught the opposite. We've been taught that happiness comes from getting what we want. That peace comes when circumstances align. That we'll finally be okay when we get the promotion, the relationship, the house, the body, the validation. But Marcus knew better. He knew that even with an empire at his feet, he could be miserable if his mind was in chains. Think about this. How many times have you replayed a conversation in your head, twisting it, turning it, imagining what they meant, what you should have said? How many nights have you lain awake, spiraling into futures that haven't happened, drowning in possibilities that will never come to pass? Your mind, left untrained, becomes a prison. It holds you hostage with thoughts that aren't even real. And the tragedy is, most people live their entire lives inside that prison without ever realizing the door was never locked. There's a story from ancient Greece about a man named Epictetus. He was born a slave, literally in chains. And yet, he became one of the greatest philosophers of his time. How? Because he understood that while his body was enslaved, his mind was free. He said, "No one can hurt you without your consent." Not because pain isn't real, but because suffering is a choice. Pain is what happens to you. Suffering is what you do with it. And that choice, that space between what happens and how you respond, that's where your power lives. So the first secret is this. Stop waiting for the world to give you permission to be at peace. Stop giving your thoughts the power to define your reality. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. And the moment you realize that, everything changes. Because if you can observe your thoughts, you can choose which ones to believe. And if you can choose which ones to believe, you can choose who you become. Now, let's talk about control. Or rather, let's talk about the lie we've all been sold. We think if we just work harder, plan better, anticipate every outcome, we can control our lives. We think if we're smart enough, disciplined enough, careful enough, we can avoid pain, we can avoid failure, we can avoid loss, and so we grip tighter, plan more, worry endlessly, trying to hold the world in place. And the tighter we grip, the more it slips through our fingers. Marcus faced this every single day. Imagine ruling an empire. Imagine being responsible for millions of lives. Imagine wars, plagues, betrayals, death at every turn. And yet, he wrote, don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Don't try to picture everything bad that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation at hand. Akku. This is the second secret. Surrender the illusion of control. You can't control what happens to you. You can't control other people. You can't control the economy, the weather, or whether someone loves you back. You can't even control most of your own body. Your heart beats without your permission. Your cells divide and die without asking you. And yet, we exhaust ourselves trying to control everything. And in that exhaustion, we miss the one thing we actually can control: how we respond. There's a concept in Stoicism called the dichotomy of control. It's simple. There are things within your control and things outside your control. And peace comes from knowing the difference. Your thoughts, your actions, your intentions, your effort, these are yours. Everything else? Let it go. Not because you don't care, but because caring about what you can't control is like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you're holding a bird in your hand. If you hold it too loosely, it might fly away. But if you hold it too tightly, you'll crush it. Life is like that bird. You have to hold it gently. You have to care deeply. Try your best. Show up fully. But also be willing to let go when the time comes. Because control is an illusion. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop fighting battles you were never meant to win. This doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you pour your energy into what matters. Into your character. Into your growth. Into how you treat people. Into the small daily choices that actually shape your life. And you release the rest. You release the need to know how everything will turn out. You release the need to be right. You release the anxiety of trying to manage a world that was never yours to manage in the first place. Marcus knew this deeply. He knew that even as emperor, he was just a man, just a temporary visitor in a world that existed long before him and would continue long after. And in that humility, he found power. Not the power to dominate, but the power to endure. The power to keep going when everything falls apart. The power to find peace in the chaos. Here's something you've probably noticed. You're rarely where you are. Your body is in one place, but your mind is somewhere else. You're at dinner, but you're thinking about work. You're with your family, but you're scrolling. You're in a conversation, but you're already planning your response. You're alive, but you're not really living. You're here, but you're not present. And this is the tragedy of modern life. We're so busy chasing the future or replaying the past that we miss the only moment that actually exists. This one. Right now. This breath. This heartbeat. This second where life is actually happening. Marcus understood this. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. Not because the future doesn't matter, but because the future is built from the present. And if you're not here now, you'll never be there later." This is the third secret. Master the art of presence. And it's an art, not a destination. It's a practice, not a prize. Because your mind will wander. It's designed to. Your mind is a survival machine, constantly scanning for threats, planning for problems, replaying mistakes to avoid repeating them. But survival and peace are not the same thing. And if you want peace, you have to train your mind to come back. Again and again and again. There's a Zen story about a student who asks his master, "What is enlightenment?" And the master says, when walking, walk. When eating, eat. The student is confused. That's it? And the master smiles. Most people don't. Think about it. When was the last time you ate a meal without distraction? When was the last time you walked without your mind racing? When was the last time you were fully, completely, undividedly here? Presence isn't about stopping your thoughts. It's about not getting lost in them. It's about noticing when your mind has drifted and gently bringing it back, like training a puppy. It wanders off, you call it back. No judgment, no frustration, just awareness, just return. And the more you practice this, the more you realize something profound. The present moment is enough. It's not empty. It's not boring. It's full. It's alive. It's everything. Marcus practiced this every day. Even in the middle of war, even surrounded by chaos, he would pause. He would breathe. He would remind himself, this moment is all I have. And in that moment, he would find clarity. He would find strength. He would find the wisdom to make the next right choice, not because he had all the answers, but because he was fully present to ask the right questions. So I want you to try something right now. Just for a moment, stop. Stop thinking about what's next. Stop replaying what happened earlier. Just be here. Feel your breath. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the air on your skin. Notice the sounds around you. Notice the stillness beneath the noise. This is presence. This is the doorway to peace. And it's always available to you. Always. No matter what's happening. No matter how chaotic the world gets. The present moment is your sanctuary, and all you have to do is return to it. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about something that will change the way you see everything. Your life isn't shaped by what happens to you. It's shaped by how you perceive what happens to you. This is the fourth secret, and it's the one that holds the most power. You can change your perception, and in doing so, you change your reality. Marcus wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Read that slowly. The pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. This isn't about denying reality. It's not about toxic positivity or pretending everything is fine. It's about understanding that between stimulus and response there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom. Think about two people stuck in traffic. Same situation. One is fuming, gripping the wheel, heart racing, cursing every car in sight. The other is breathing, listening to music, maybe even enjoying the rare moment of stillness. Same traffic, different perception, different experience. And the difference isn't out there. It's in here, in the mind, in the meaning we assign to what happens. There's a famous Stoic exercise called turning the obstacle upside down. It's simple. When something bad happens, ask yourself, how is this good? Not in a naive way, but in a strategic way. What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? How can this challenge reveal something I didn't know about myself? Because every obstacle carries within it the seed of opportunity, but only if you're willing to look for it. Marcus faced unimaginable challenges, betrayal from those he trusted, the death of children, wars that drained his empire, plagues that killed millions. And yet he wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is alchemy. This is the ability to take what is and transform it into what could be. Not by changing the external, but by shifting the internal. I want you to think about something difficult in your life right now. Something that feels heavy. Something you wish wasn't happening. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what if this is exactly what I need? What if this pain is teaching me compassion? What if this failure is redirecting me towards something better? What if this loss is creating space for something new? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. But I am saying that you have a choice in how you hold it. And that choice determines whether it destroys you or defines you. Perception is power. And when you realize that you can reframe anything, You become unstoppable. Not because nothing bad happens, but because nothing that happens can take away your ability to choose how you respond. And in that choice, you find freedom. You find resilience. You find the strength to keep going, even when everything inside you wants to quit. Let's talk about wanting. Because most of your suffering comes from this. Wanting what you don't have and fearing the loss of what you do. You want the relationship that ended. You want the job you didn't get. You want the body you had 10 years ago. You want to be further along than you are. And beneath all of that wanting is a belief, usually unconscious, that happiness is somewhere else. That peace is in the future, in the achievement, in the arrival. But Marcus knew better. He wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." This is the fifth secret. Discipline your desire. Not by suppressing it, but by redirecting it. By learning to want what you already have. This is radical in a world that profits from your dissatisfaction. We're told constantly that we're not enough, that we need more, better, newer, faster. And so we chase, we accumulate, we upgrade, and yet the feeling of not enough never goes away, because it was never about what you had. It was always about how you saw what you had. There's a story about a fisherman who lived in a small village by the sea. Every day he would fish just enough to feed his family, and then he would spend the afternoon napping in the sun, playing with his children, drinking with his friends. One day, a businessman visited the village and saw the fisherman resting. "Why aren't you out fishing?" the businessman asked. "I've caught enough for today," the fisherman replied. The businessman frowned. "But if you fished more, you could sell the extra fish, save money, buy a bigger boat, hire workers, expand your business, and eventually sell it for millions. Then you could retire and spend your days resting, playing with your children, and drinking with your friends." The fisherman smiled. "But isn't that what I'm doing now? Most of us are like the businessman. We delay peace, thinking it's something we earn. But peace isn't a reward. It's a practice. It's the ability to want what is, to see the miracle in the ordinary, to recognize that you already have enough, that you already are enough. Not because you've achieved everything, but because enough is not a number. It's a feeling. And feelings come from perception, not possession. This doesn't mean you stop growing or striving. It means you stop believing that your worth is tied to what you achieve. It means you start from a place of wholeness, not lack. You build from gratitude, not desperation. And when you do that, everything changes. Your goals become expressions of who you are, not attempts to escape who you're not. Your work becomes joyful, not frantic. Your life becomes full, not frantic. Marcus practiced this daily. He had everything, and yet he knew it was all temporary. So he didn't cling. He didn't grasp. He held everything lightly, with gratitude, knowing that all things pass. And in that lightness, he found freedom. The freedom to enjoy without attachment. The freedom to love without possession. The freedom to live fully, knowing that nothing lasts forever, and that's exactly what makes it beautiful. Here's a truth that will set you free. But first, it will make you uncomfortable. You cannot live an authentic life and be liked by everyone. It's impossible. Because the moment you start living according to your own values, the moment you stop performing for approval, some people will be disappointed. Some will judge. Some will leave, and that's okay. In fact, it's necessary. This is the sixth secret. Have the courage to be disliked. Marcus wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that. You love yourself, and yet you torture yourself with the opinions of people who don't even know you. You dim your light because you're afraid of standing out. You silence your voice because you're afraid of being wrong. You live smaller because you're afraid of taking up space. And in doing so, you betray the one person you'll spend your entire life with, yourself. This isn't about being rude or selfish. It's not about not caring what anyone thinks. It's about caring more about what you think. It's about building your life on a foundation of integrity, not approval. Because approval is fickle, it changes with the wind. What people love today, they'll hate tomorrow. And if you build your life on that shifting ground, you'll never feel stable. There's a concept in psychology called the spotlight effect. It's the tendency to believe that everyone is watching you, judging you, noticing every flaw. But here's the truth. They're not. Most people are too busy worrying about what you think of them to think much about you at all. And the ones who do judge? They're usually projecting their own insecurities onto you. Their criticism says more about them than it does about you. So what if you let go? What if you stopped performing? What if you showed up as you actually are, messy and uncertain and still figuring it out? What if you said what you really think, even if your voice shakes? What if you pursued what you actually want, even if no one understands? What if you let people be disappointed? What if you let them leave? Because here's what happens. The wrong people fall away, and the right people show up. The ones who love you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. Marcus faced this constantly. As emperor, everyone had an opinion about what he should do. And yet, he had to make decisions that he knew would be unpopular. He had to stand alone sometimes. And he learned that leadership, real leadership, isn't about being liked. It's about being true. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when it costs you, even when people turn against you. This is the path of authenticity, and it's lonely sometimes, but it's also liberating. Because when you stop living for applause, you start living for meaning. When you stop performing, you start being. And being raw and real and unapologetic is the most courageous thing you can do. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. And in a world full of masks, truth is revolutionary. Now let's talk about something most people avoid: death. We live as if we have forever. We delay. We procrastinate. We put off the important conversations, the dreams, the risks, the love. We say someday and eventually and when the time is right. But the Stoics had a practice that changed everything. They called it memento mori. Remember, you will die. This isn't morbid, it's not depressing, it's the opposite. It's the key to living fully. Because when you remember that your time is finite, everything becomes precious. Every moment becomes sacred. Every choice becomes significant. Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is the seventh secret. Live as if your time matters, because it does. Think about how you spend your days. How much time do you waste on things that don't matter? How many hours scrolling, numbing, distracting, avoiding? How many days drift by in autopilot, indistinguishable from the one before? And at the end of your life, when you look back, will you be proud of how you spent your time, or will you wish you had been braver, more present, more alive? There's a study that was done with people in hospice, asking them about their biggest regrets. And the answers were almost always the same. They regretted working too much. They regretted not expressing their feelings. They regretted losing touch with friends. They regretted not living a life true to themselves. Not a single person said, "I wish I had spent more time worrying." Not one said, "I wish I had played it safer." They all wished they had lived more, loved more, risked more. So what if you lived like that now? What if you stopped waiting? What if you had the conversation today? What if you started the project this week? What if you told them how you feel? What if you forgave not because they deserve it, but because you do? What if you stopped holding grudges and started holding hands? What if you stopped collecting things and started collecting memories? Marcus knew his time was limited. He lived with death as a constant companion. And it didn't make him fearful, it made him focused, it made him intentional. It made him ask every single day, "Is this how I want to spend my time?" And if the answer was no, he changed course. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He lived as if every moment mattered, because it did. Death is not the enemy. Forgetting to live is. And the antidote to that forgetting is simple. Remember. Remember that you are mortal. Remember that everyone you love is mortal. Remember that this life, this beautiful, terrifying, miraculous life is temporary, and let that remembrance wake you up. Let it make you kind. Let it make you brave. Let it make you grateful for every ordinary, extraordinary moment you get. We've arrived at the final secret, and it's the one that ties everything together. It's the one that, if you truly embrace it, will change everything. It's this: accept what is, not because you like it, not because it's fair, but because acceptance is the only path to peace. This is the 8th secret: find freedom in acceptance. Marcus wrote, "The cucumber is bitter, then throw it out. There are brambles in the path, then go around them." That's all you need to know, nothing more. Don't go on to ask, why do such things exist in the world? This is radical simplicity. Don't argue with reality. Don't demand that life be different than it is. See what is, accept what is, and then decide what to do about it. Most of your suffering comes from non-acceptance, from the belief that things should be different, that you should be further along, that they should have treated you better, that the world should be more fair. And maybe all of that is true, but should doesn't change anything. Should just keeps you stuck, arguing with a reality that doesn't care about your arguments. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop trying to change things. It means you stop resisting what already is. You stop wasting energy wishing the past were different. You stop torturing yourself with what ifs and if onlys. You plant your feet in the present moment, exactly as it is, and you ask, okay, this is where I am. Now what? There's a concept in martial arts called redirecting force. Instead of meeting force with force, you accept the energy coming at you and redirect it. You don't resist. You flow. You adapt. And in that acceptance, you find leverage. Life works the same way. When you stop fighting reality, you stop wasting energy. And that energy becomes available for action, for growth, for transformation. I want you to think about something you've been resisting. Maybe it's a loss, maybe it's a failure, maybe it's a part of yourself you wish were different. Now, just for a moment, stop resisting. Stop wishing it were different. Just let it be, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that acceptance is not defeat. Acceptance is the foundation of change. Because you can't change what you won't accept, and you can't grow from a place of denial. Marcus accepted everything: the betrayals, the losses, the weight of empire, the inevitability of death. He didn't pretend it was okay. He didn't gaslight himself into false positivity. He simply saw reality clearly, accepted it fully, and then chose how to respond. And in that acceptance, he found a peace that no circumstance could take away. Because when you accept what is, you stop being at war with life. And when you stop being at war, you can finally rest. So here we are. 8 secrets. 8 keys to mastering your mind. But let me tell you something important. Knowing these secrets is not enough. You have to practice them every single day, in every moment. When you're frustrated, when you're afraid, when you're heartbroken, when you're tired. This is not information. This is transformation. And transformation requires practice. Marcus didn't write his meditations for us. He wrote them for himself, as reminders, as anchors, as tools to come back to when he forgot. And he forgot often, because he was human, just like you, just like me. And being human means you'll stumble, you'll lose your way, you'll get swept up in the current of life and forget everything you know. And that's okay. Because mastery isn't perfection. Mastery is return. It's the willingness to come back again and again to what matters. You have power over your mind, not outside events. You cannot control everything, but you can control your response. You can practice presence. You can change your perception. You can discipline your desire. You can have the courage to be disliked. You can remember that you will die. You can accept what is. These aren't just ideas, they're practices. They're choices, and every moment is an opportunity to choose differently. I don't know what you're going through right now. I don't know what weight you're carrying or what battles you're fighting, but I do know this. You're stronger than you think. You're more capable than you believe. And you have everything you need to master your mind. Not someday. Not when things get easier. Right now. With what you have. Where you are. The world will keep spinning. Chaos will keep coming. Life will keep throwing curveballs. But none of that matters as much as what's happening in here, in the quiet space of your mind, because that's where the real battle is fought. That's where freedom is won. That's where peace is found. So take these secrets. Practice them. Return to them. Let them guide you when you're lost. Let them strengthen you when you're weak. Let them remind you that you are not a victim of circumstance. You are the master of your mind. And when you master your mind, you master your life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." So stop reading. Stop watching. Stop waiting. Go be one. Go practice. Go live. Your life is waiting. And it's shorter than you think. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing the work. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. And remember, you are not alone in this. We're all walking this path together, figuring it out as we go, stumbling and rising and trying again. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. Now go, master your mind, and in doing so, master your life.